Today I'm going to introduce Sage to the bit. He's never had a bit in his mouth. I'm going to show the steps that I prepare him for the bit and have him just carry it today while I do my groundwork so that he gets used to it being in his mouth. I'm not going to apply any pressure in his mouth for at least 3 days of him just carrying it. Like he did for his saddle, I just call it a piece of clothing. They get habituate to it and know that it's not anything stressful. So the only thing I'm adding today is he's just going to wear the bit. I'm not going to add me pulling on the reins and suddenly riding with the bit. That would be too much, in my opinion. It could cause a lot of stress. So I don't need my dressage whip. I'll put that there. All I'm using is just a part of a bridle. I call it a hanger. Just hang the bit on it. That way I don't have to fuss with a brow band and a chin strap. And I use a rope halter to start as well, because that way it can be underneath. You can have the cavesson underneath, it doesn't matter. I just like to have something really lightweight underneath, and I'll show you why. And I don't start riding a horse in a loose ring snaffle. This is a dressage bit, Steuben snaffle. It was Tucker's show bit, but it's it's got a little lozenge. They like licking and causes salivation, copper. And it's just really easy to put on. Okay, the full cheek snaffle is what I will ride him in the first few rides, because it full cheek or a large D causes pressure on the outside and pulls his nose like the cavesson did while a corner of this mouth is being pulled. The outside, or if I'm pulling the right rein, the whole bit also pulls the face. That makes it very clear as to where you want. So a full cheek or a large D is really beneficial for the first 20 rides with a bit. Then you can transition to, a boucher bit or anything that's like an egg butt, something with still a bit of a mouthpiece. This is very advanced. I know it's super light, but a horse can open its mouth really easily and allow it to slide through if there's stress. And I'm not one to tie the nose shut with a tight cavesson or noseband, because then they can't give me feedback. So I would prefer, if they did have stress and open the mouth wide, the full cheek won't pull on their mouth, but it'll push their face. So that's why I do that. And I'll show the full cheek later in training. No, I don't. So the first thing I'll do is, it's noisy. Let him just kind of hear the noises. He doesn't care. So I'll stand beside the horse and I'll just work on can I. Okay? Can I ask, with the pulling down with the halter here, I'm going to squeeze a little bit behind his ears and put pressure so that we have a head down button. Okay, good. And I know I've worked on this part before, but I'm showing you this all needs to be here before I bit him. Also, very important. Can I slide my hands over your ears? Can I slide my hand over your ears this way? And then this way, right? No, head down. So until I'm done, he can't move his head. So that's part of his responsibility now, his task, his job. Yeah, good. His head down. Even if I'm fussing with, good, head down, fussing with your ears. And of course, I'm trying to make it pleasurable too. There's some little bites in here from flies. Doing a little scratch, making him go, oh, hang on. Touching the ears is nice. Oh, okay. So can I slide my hand like this? Because I want to be able to slide the bridle part over his ears, of course, right? And that's actually one of the more stressful parts for most horses, is that part there. And if they have I want to check the ears, because quite often if there is a bite in there, mites or any other little thing, plaque in their ears, it hurts when the ear is bent, and then they're like, no, you're not touching me there. Understandably so, but then now they're associating the bridling to the pain in the ear, and then it causes head tossing and all kinds of things. All right, so I want it to be a pleasant experience bridling, as well as, if you notice, I'm standing to his side. His chest is over there, my chest is here, facing this way. He's bringing his head to me. So he's saying yes. I've also worked on when he's haltered. He brings his head down and brings his head to me. Okay, so this is a prerequisite, absolutely. I'm standing directly in front of him and then trying to shove the bridle on him. He can throw his head up. He can fly backwards or on top of me. That's unsafe. So first I'm going to stand beside him. I'm going to repeat that process. Can you bring your head to me? Notice standing parallel with him there with my feet. Head down, please. Head down. Good. Thank you. So, stage one. Can I take the bit and just go like that with his chin. And I'll do that at least 3 times in a row. Sometimes even that action causes stress. That's not stress. That's just a fly by his head. Yeah, oh boy, I know. The flies are really bad the last few days. Good boy. So yeah, at least I'm not even having to hold his head there. Whatever you're doing, I don't understand it, but I don't care. Just gonna make it a little bit longer. Hasn't been on him before, so I don't know the length, but I prefer it was too long than too short. Excuse me. So instead of using the halter, this time I'm gonna use my hands. I'm gonna just cup his nose there, put one hand here and say, head down into me. Good. Don't drop the bit in the sand. That's not an ideal technique. Good boy. Sorry. Maybe some sand on there. Extra flavor. So once his head is in position, I'll put this and do this part again. No stress there. Then can he handle my hand being here and keep that? Okay. He says, yeah, that's not a problem. Okay, so I'll put it here. Remind him his head, no, your head should be down. So that's my fingertip touch here. Yes, it can be down, and just hold it. And then remind him with my fingers here. The halter's there in case I need it, but I'm going to try and just use my fingers. And wait. I want him just to relax there. I want to see a blink or something. There's a blink. I don't want him just tolerating. I don't want him like, oh, that's not total acceptance, right? I'm going to put that there. And as soon as I do that, notice his head comes up. So I'm like, no, 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 no. We don't put our head up, please. Thank you. And we don't turn our nose away. Because it's going to be very hard for me to get over years without a little bit of a battle. And he's backing away. He's a little luncher. I mean, just, what are you doing? Okay. Good. Waiting for relaxation. He's coping. He's a very good boy, so he'll do stuff without actually being okay with it. You see a blink or something, or a softening. And a lowering, right? Again, just coping. Coping, coping, coping. There's a change there. Sometimes you have to get a little louder with your rubbing. Okay, so now the next part I want to check with him is that, sorry, I thought I heard a noise. I'm just going to check that I can handle his muzzle. And can I put my fingers in his mouth? I wanted him to actually lick and chew there. I'm going to do it again. Release. I'm just going to do it again. My fingers, I'm putting them on both sides. Like a bit would be in his mouth. Touching very gently the bars of his mouth. And another game I play, let's bring him over here, is that I'll take the fingers here, and as soon as I put them in his mouth, I'm not releasing until the head comes down all by itself. So you're causing a lick and chew, you're causing a relaxation, loosening their jaw and TMJ, and you can see how zen he is just from his lick and chew. Also, I don't want him to think of this whole process of me biting as relaxing, not stressful. So when I stick my fingers in your mouth, you're going to lower your head to get rid of my fingers. He thinks he's training me to get my fingers out of his mouth. And the byproduct, though, is look how relaxed he is from all that licking and chewing. Because all I did was just play with the corners, right? And do it again. Now I put a bit in his mouth. This is also going to help me with when I put bit pressure on. I want him to lengthen and lower. Boy, you're not. Okay? The bit is actually a really good tool if done right. Oh, look at the yawning. Really good tool to help elicit relaxation of the jaw and get a horse to stretch, not pull back to create tension and collection. You want the horse coming to it, okay? Looking for that relaxing feel of the rider's hand. So let's do it with it this time. And that'll be a shocking thing. Oh, what's that thing in my mouth for? Okay? So we got this piece, but I don't like that part. What happened to the head down? Then my hand comes here, and now I'm going to do that same thing with the fingers on both sides. He's going to lick and chew, and with this hand, I lifted the bit into his mouth. Of course, totally, baby. What the heck is that? As quickly as I can, just reminding him. He needs to have his head without me moving my body over here. And I'm just going to leave it. It's way too loose. So I don't go by the wrinkles. I go by where it's placed in his mouth. Okay? And he's not going to enjoy that. He's going to do this for a couple of days, I would imagine. Blah, 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 blah. So there's no point in me trying to have a conversation while he's still in blah, blah. How do I get this thing off? Just like when they first had the saddle, it's normal for them to try and get it off with little cow hops and bucks, cow kicks at the saddle strings and stuff. He now knows it doesn't go away, so he's quit. So now it's just habituation, it's called. They get used to it and they don't worry about it anymore. So once he shows me he doesn't do any of this, then he's ready for me to communicate with the mouth, stop, back up, turn, all the things I've already taught him. He's very solid on all his foundational work. You can side pass, you can do all the things, but now I need it to be from the bit. And that's a good question too. Do I really need it to be from the bit? If he was my personal horse, I'm very skilled bitless, that I would keep him bitless with the cavesson for another year. Until his teeth are finished developing. Have a good vet check work over on him, maybe help remove some of the caps, whatever, get through that whole teething process, and then I would put him in the vet. However, the owner is very skilled with the bridle, and she'll be very careful. So, but if you're more skilled with the bit, ride with the bit. I'm skilled with the cavesson or with the bozell. Like that's my expertise. So I can get a lot out of a horse with that. Some people can't. So put a bit in if that's where your skills are. It doesn't matter to me, as long as the horse is progressing and understands what you're looking for. So I'm going to make sure that he's going home. I have him for 1 more month, that he goes home with a really good understanding of being ridden in the bit, so that she can just carry on all winter riding him and doing all the things I've been doing. Keep him going. So now that he's, there's no stress. He's like, this is interesting, tastes good. I'm going to take it off. So the very first thing is he needs to be at the same position. Your nose over here, which is obviously very soft under neck, so there's no vagus nervous system stress signs. Slide it over one ear. Slide it. Notice I'm holding the halter rather than on top of his head, because very likely he could throw his head in stress. He didn't, but that way I'm not, my arms are too short. I can't handle a horse that's going up. I have rotator cuff tears. I just use the halter down here and say, hey, keep your head here versus the hand here, because if they do throw their head up, I'll pull something. Okay, so no stress. He's not looking away. I can show it to him again. And a lot of times you show the horse a bit and they look the other way and you're like, you didn't like that, did you? I'm going to bring it over here again. I'm going to put it under the chin and I'm going to pause. If he really hated the experience, he'd throw his head up. And I'll go through all the steps again 3 times in a row here. I'm going to just put my fingers in his mouth. He took a bit lovely. I got it caught on his eyeball. No, can you bring your nose over here, please? Thank you. But no, I really like, so this needs to be fixed. You need to keep it here while I put it on. Thank you. Now you can have your head and chew on it. So that to me is really important, that part. He needs to learn, not only is his responsibility to keep it low, but he needs to keep it bent. What that does is it keeps him really focused on the job of this, and you don't have to deal with all this head up in the air and stress. And I can read them right here. The more I'm moving around, the more my body gets pushing on them. Doesn't go out. So to take it off, same process. Pull the nose to you. Head down, please. No, it needs to stay. Thank you. Notice instead of my hand over, just in case he throws his head up. And I want them to spit it out. So I'm going to hold it gently up. Don't want it to bang his teeth, and I want him to know. Keep your nose here, please. And then you're all done. Right? I don't do that. I'm just showing you guys. You're all done. That was your bidding process. Right? Not very stressed. This is interesting. I don't know what we're doing, but it's pretty easy. All right, we'll repeat that for 3 in a row, and then he'll just carry it. I'll proceed and do some groundwork, and then I'm going to ride him today. I'm not going to ride him with the bit today. I'm just going to do a series of random ground skills exercises just with the rope halter, and see if we can just finally stop chewing and forget about the bridle. That was even better that time. I would like him to learn to keep it over here. But trust me, I'll have that fixed. This is only his first time. Now you can have your head. And you can just wait there. And like I said, I will proceed now to just do a series of groundwork, side pass, trot him a little bit of lunging, just very relaxed until he forgets about the bit. He's almost there now. and then I'll take it off and then I'll ride him back out.